These are my no social media sketchbooks from last year because I realized I was really focusing a ton on my metrics and it was really inhibiting my artistic practice. So I told myself, okay, you can keep this sketchbook, and at the end of the year, if you want to share anything, you can, and if you don't, you don't. But this helped me kind of get out of the mindset of making everything I do look good and perfect, and instead just kind of having a sketchbook be what it's supposed to be for, which is to try things out, to experiment, to take some risks. And I really wasn't doing a lot of that in my sketchbooks. So this one is the Moleskin, a classic Moleskin sketchbook. And I kind of realized I don't like the Moleskin as much as I would have thought. I had been a Moleskin person. Moleskin was my jam for years and years and years. But after using this is the Hammamule. Wait, it's a German brand. Wait, let me Google how to actually pronounce it. Hammamule. The Hammamule sketchbook. Okay, I think I want to start off with the small one first because this one's my favorite. And it's about, my hands are really small. It's about a 4x6, so I could bring it in my purse wherever I go. And so this is what I kept in my year. Here's kind of a layout of an example I thought I would do on social, but I didn't end up doing it. And here's just kind of the first couple sketches, just getting something down. I used to do a lot more coffee shop sketches, so that's kind of what I did at the beginning of the year. But really, I got into doing a lot more landscapes and kind of whatever is near me. And I experimented just like with some markers and just kind of being messy. This I did on my way home from work. I tend to kind of drive around and stop in different places around town. It's always fun to go to bars and draw all of the bottles and people at the bar. This is my mom. And this is at a park. People were playing cornhole. I really like working on trees. This is kind of near Woodward Park where I live. And it's a bunch of these houses, which I do tons of house commissions. It's interesting how the commissions that I'm doing influence my actual art outside of those commissions. Since I never really did houses before, I got asked to do commissions in the pandemic. And now they've kind of become a little bit more of a staple for me. I never got to finish watercoloring this one. A couple of these I did show on social media, so I'm a little bit of a liar because I really like these ones. This is in the teaching garden at Woodward Park. Here's the greenhouse. I love these little gardens. This was right before I got COVID for the first time ever, and I was actually really sick when I made these. This I really liked, and my phone battery died right after I finished this one, so I never got a photograph of it, but that's okay because that's the point of this video. And this is where I quarantined when I had COVID. This was when I was kind of finally feeling better. So this was the view from my friend's house because I stayed at her place because my AC was out. It was a whole thing. One thing I actually really wanted to get better at is drawing trees, and I totally have not mastered that yet, but you'll see some examples of my trees later. This is at a swimming pool when I went home to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and this is at my friend Claire's house in her sunroom. So I experimented a little bit with some pastels. Here I'm trying to get different watercolor trees. That's definitely something I want to get better at. And I did a few New Mexico landscapes when I was there. So this is a sketch of a larger painting I did, and I'll show it over here. And I also have it in this book, which I'll show you guys in a second. But this is kind of, you can see a little bit of the progress from start to mid to final that I'll show you, which is always why it's good to use a sketchbook to work on your ideas. I took so many walks around my neighborhood and parts of town. So I did a lot of these. This is in a coffee shop. These are all by me. This one is really nice. I don't do a lot of backlit shadows, and I really think I got the light shown well in this. That was actually really reflective of what it looked like. And these are more gardens. I love doing a good chair and bench. This was kind of fun from a Pinterest image and just kind of played with, colors. And I really tried to do a night scene here, which I really want to get better at doing night scenes in watercolors, but it's just really hard to get that dark, dark contrast that is what the night normally looks like. And here are a few more tree studies. I think these turned out well. I actually used masking fluid for these ones. And this, I took a trip to New Hampshire and I painted. I have a whole video about my trip, and it's mostly just fun and for me and my friend Grace. But these are some of the drawings I did. They're really not the best. This one I did in the rain, so you can actually see these little speckles there. That's from the actual rain that was falling when I was painting this. And this I tried to do, you know, I kind of messed up here because I wanted to do like a blue overlayer, but I wasn't patient enough and didn't let it dry. So I kind of picked up this layer of paint here, unfortunately. But that is what a sketchbook is for. That's my friend Grace on this trip. And this one is just more kind of right outside. I go on these like long walks, even though my foot is hurting now. This one I started, but unfortunately, a car pulled up next to me and got in my view, so I never got to finish this one. And I still have a few pages left, but it was the end of the year, so I wanted to share this one. Okay, and this one is my bigger one, but I don't like this one as much. I don't know why, I just haven't been interested in the moleskin as much. Like, it just doesn't hold the water as well when I paint watercolor. This is at our local library here and doing lots of street scenes. But this I just really wanted to be even more loose and experimental. And I did a lot of actual pencil drawings. This I tried oil pastel and watercolor just to kind of see. I saw an artist on Instagram doing this kind of work and I was really inspired by it, so I thought I would give it a go. I love when artists use little like segments of this one scene in their sketchbook, so I was trying that out. Kind of, I went to the same place and just looked at a few different spots from the same location I was at and did little mini sketches. And here I experimented a bit with texture, and this, like, the paper quality I just don't love. So, it's hard to tell because different paper will look better or worse depending on what the paper is like. This is a house that I really love. I go by there all the time. I'll probably do a bigger one of this one just because I love the tire swing that's out in front. And here I even tried the Posca pen markers, which I really like. I like a good flat look, but I don't know if it's my thing, but I like to experiment with it. Here's like experimenting again with brick texture. There's some more people. I really love doing these long horizontal panoramic viewpoints of houses. I think I'm gonna do a larger painting like this. It's just so funny because on social media, I kind of stopped doing this look just because everything turned into vertical. So they all turned into vertical videos, vertical photos did the best. So kind of my own compositions reflected that and changed. And I'm not sure if that's the case with you guys or thinking about that for social, but connecting again with the sketchbook and being like, hey, you don't have any parameters. There's no algorithm here that you need to cater towards. It's just your sketchbook. And that was the key thing of trying to rewire my brain to focus on a little bit more this past year. Here's a sketch from the Philbrook, and this one's from Utica Square. And I also used some oil pastels again. And what's cool about using oil pastels with watercolor is that the oil repels water. So I would draw the oil pastels first and then go over it in watercolor. And it would like leave this empty. It's kind of like a masking fluid, but with color. And here's some more houses, and this is just kind of experimenting a bit with shadows, but you can kind of tell, this is kind of why I don't like the moleskin as much, is I'm picking up a lot of the underlayer of paint. It just doesn't all look nice and even. You can see my brush strokes more in there, which some people might like the look, but I prefer, I don't like this as much as you know, like here it's all pretty even, the shadow. Let me find another example. And this, like the shadow over here is like way more even. You don't see the strokes as much as these. It looks like I've gone over it a couple of times. So the paper really makes a difference for watercolor. So I always keep that in mind. And this I used colored pencils. This I got off, Pinterest is a great place just to look for fun resources, fun reference photos. So this is from like a train, I don't know, in France or something. And here's just the pastels with shadows. And this is, see, you got to be careful with the pastels because they'll get on your other page and kind of ruin it. So this is the same scene here that I did earlier. I was just really obsessed with this location, so I did it twice. And this one, I painted the shadows. This I just did in pencil. This one was pen with the shadows because I wanted to capture what the shadows kind of look like so that I could do a bigger piece like this one that is ultimately the final result. So it's kind of fun to see the different iterations that I was working on. Hopefully I'll have more of that in the upcoming year because really I could have done a lot more with my sketchbooks. And here's just doing the shadows towards the end. This is a piece I worked on, and I like to kind of map out different compositions that I could do. And these are some house portraits I did. So sometimes they send me a few different compositions of like where the house is facing or what time of day. So I like to do a little pencil sketch, a little thumbnail sketch, and have them choose, because sometimes it's easier to, I find it easier to visualize. So here I kind of picked two different, slightly different compositions here. This one is one like Halloween one I eventually want to do, with all the houses and kids in front. And here's at the airport or at a coffee shop. I'm really obsessed with shadows, as you can tell. And this is also some houses I want to do in my neighborhood. This is from my Gilmore Girls print. So this was the little sketch that I mocked up from several images from the show that I wanted to highlight. And I can show you the final version here. And I kind of moved this. I drew this one and then this one because I wanted it to be a little further away. And these are just house portraits. And I was trying to add the shadows to kind of show people more what the whole composition would look like, including the shadows. This is a fun one that I did. That's like super vertical. These are a few people at the airport that I drew. The airport is a fantastic place to totally creep on people. And no one's paying attention because they're all busy on their phones, waiting in lines. And there's so many other people around that they don't even notice. This was my last sketch of the year. This is at home. And we set up 3 Christmas trees every year. They're like all really small. And I'm Jewish, but my dad is Catholic, so we still celebrate Christmas, and we have little stockings from when we were kids. And I don't know, it's always nice to draw my family when I'm home, and I want to do more of that later on. And I still have more pages to fill up for this one, but I just wanted to share what I did for this year and would love to do more in the next year because this was just so helpful to just not focus on metrics and the numbers on social media and just kind of create to create. I'm definitely going to keep taking that practice into the new year. So if you're also going to keep a no social media sketchbook with me this year, let me know. The best part is sharing. So I always tell myself that I can share it if something's really good, but I try and keep it to myself for the whole sketchbook. And for the most part, I did. Some I shared in advance, but that's what makes things fun. So, anyway, I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you guys later.